What do you call water that's cold?
In dating and relationships, a red flag is a small thing you notice in someone else's behavior that's symptomatic of a bigger problem. The trouble is that oftentimes a red flag can be hard to pick up on because red flags aren't only what someone does, they can also be what they don't do. And some red flags are certainly worse than others, so I want to start with the more mild ones and move up from there. Assuming you start with a blank white flag, at the lowest level we have red and white flags, which are just small quirks or inconsistencies that aren't bad, just kind of weird. Things like they don't lick the yogurt off the lid, they use Internet Explorer, they hold the door open for you as soon as they see you park your car, or they're apologetic even if something is your fault. Basically, if it can be...
I tossed too fast. Fucking shit, bro. You know what, the subtitles can't read that.
They don't lick the yogurt off the lid, they use Internet Explorer, they hold the door open for you as soon as they see you park your car, or they're apologetic even if something is your fault. Basically, if it can be explained with, oh, Canadian, then it's probably in this category. So let's get started on the serious stuff. Low-tier red flags. A low-tier red flag is something that's probably bad, but not necessarily a complete deal breaker. They don't laugh at your jokes. I thought this was just normal, but they say if a girl doesn't laugh at your jokes, she probably isn't very compatible with you. If a girl is really into you, though, she'll likely laugh at all your jokes, even if they're not very good. They have a secretive past. This depends a lot on how communicative the person is. They might just be anxious about sharing personal details, but if they have no problem talking about anything and everything except their past, it's either something they don't want you to know, which is pretty bad, or they're a Russian spy, which is pretty hot. Putting you on a pedestal, that is to say they think you're way out of their league. This one's obviously more common for guys to do to girls, but it can go the other way around too. Imagine I was in bed with a girl. Just gonna let that sink in. Imagine I was in bed with a girl and she whispered, "Oh my god, casually explained, tell me again about how many subscribers you have."
What the fuck is that?
Of course, that would be a huge turn on, and I have dreams about that, but it's probably going to be a pretty one-sided relationship. Think of how celebrities almost always date each other, even though they could be with any fan they wanted.
Thanks.
They have the same last name as you. That's a bit. They almost always date each other, even though they could be with any fan they wanted.
Yeah. Not always. Always. Not always.
They have the same last name as you. That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
In most places. Alright, mid-tier red flags. These are a bit more serious and are usually harder to overcome or talk about. Tread very carefully if you notice any of these. They're a stripper. On paper it might sound well and good, but when it inevitably doesn't work out, you'll realize that from now on you can only pay for things by card. Worth it. They don't have any independence. That is to say, if they have no interests or hobbies or ambitions in their life, it's likely they'll try to involve themselves in every moment of yours, which will eventually weigh you down and get in the way of your goals. Kind of like Reddit. They trash talk their ex a lot early in the relationship. This is usually an indicator they're still emotionally invested in their previous partner, and it can be very difficult to build a new relationship from the rubble of an old one.
How is it difficult?
Got that from Tumblr.
That's true.
Using ultimatums. These are saying things like, you have to do X, or I'm going to do Y.
Yeah.
You have to watch out, though, because that's like me saying, if you don't subscribe, I'm not going to be your friend, which I would never say.
That's cool.
Only think. Alright, next is high-tier red flags. These are the ones that are complete deal breakers and are pretty much always non-negotiable.
That's part of that shit.
They're married, unless you're into that. They're already pregnant, unless you're into that. They're under 18. This is just a...
That's it.
They're married, unless you're into that. They're already pregnant, unless you're into that. They're under 18. This isn't just a red flag, it's a felony, but if you do find yourself attracted to girls who are still in high school, a great way to get over that is to talk to one of them.
Yeah, especially if you're the same age.
They treat waitstaff poorly. I think being mean to other people in general is a good sign of how they're going to treat you in the future, and I know that'd be hard to deal with because my self-esteem is based on what other people think of me. If you don't like their friends, people tend to be friends with people similar to them, and if someone surrounds themselves with unsavory individuals, it tells you a lot about that person.
They're not. I mean, what's the difference?
Now, after a long time, eventually you might find that after going on date after date or going through relationship after relationship, even just after meeting a lot of new people, you start to think,
Body can't take it.
it really seems like pretty much everyone I meet has something wrong with them. They don't get me, they always have problems that they don't think are problems, I can't connect with them at all, and why can't I find someone who's not such a disaster? This is the maximum tier red flag. It's actually just you. This might sound pretty bad,
No, it's
but
not,
in a way, realizing that you might be a bit more responsible than you previously thought is the first step to becoming a more wholesome person and having better relationships with other people. And if you have a friend who shared this
This guy makes me cringe now. It's cringe.
video with you, now is the moment where you reflect on whether they thought you'd find it funny and interesting, or if they were trying to passive-aggressively tell you something.
Alright, let me reread it. Let me make sure.
This year's ultimate holiday hack. Great gifts in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express delivery. The cozy but chic.
I feel like he finds a lot of jokes on the internet. Not himself. So what was that last part?
In dating and relationships, a red might be a bit more responsible than you previously thought is a minimum tier red flag. It's actually for problems, I can't connect with them at all, and why can't I find someone who's not such a disaster? Or going through relationship after relationship, even just after meeting a lot of new people, you start to think, it really seems like pretty much everyone I meet has something wrong with them. They don't get me, they always have problems that they don't think are problems, I can't connect with them at all, and why can't I find someone who's not such a disaster? This is the maximum tier red flag.
This is a red flag.
It's actually just you. This might sound pretty bad, but in a way, realizing that you might be a bit more responsible than you previously thought is the first step to becoming a more wholesome person and having better relationships with other people. And if you have a friend who shared this video with you, now is the moment where you reflect on whether they thought you'd find it funny and interesting, or if they are trying to passive-aggressively tell you something.
Passive aggressive. I'm lying to you. I'm not lying to you.
If you're like me, you never get approached by girls unless they're selling cookies. And beyond that, unless they're really attractive,
What? This fucking phone sucks. Keeps moving around. I need to put the bright
attractive, famous, or have a puppy, it's all on you to break the ice with someone. You might be thinking, wow, that sounds unfair. What kind of double standard is this? But remember, don't hate the player, hate the game. Which I do. The good news is that because it's hard, that means if you're good at it, you really have a big step up on the people who refuse to try. Remember, when you're approaching someone, if you're just not weird, you're doing better than 95% of people. But as they say, easier said than done. Let's say you see a girl at a bar and you want to go talk to her. You think, maybe I should walk by to see if I hear anything in the conversation that might imply she's single, or maybe I should get my friend to spill a drink on her friend so she'll be alone and I can swoop in. Ask yourself, what would a not weird person do? Probably go up to her and maybe I should get my friend to spill a drink on her friend so she'll be alone and I can swoop in. Ask yourself, what would a not think, maybe I should walk by to see if I hear anything in the conversation that might imply she's single, or maybe I should get my friend to spill a drink on her friend so she'll be alone and I can swoop in. Ask yourself, what would a not weird person do? Probably go up to her and say, hey, I thought you were really cute, I wanted to come talk to you, what's your name? You probably won't catch a response the first time because you forgot to breathe and might be having an aneurysm. This is normal, just sit tight and wait for the alcohol to give you a personality. So what if you're at school or work and there's someone you have a big crush on, but you're worried about messing it up because you're still going to see them nearly every day? You might be thinking, I'll just play it cool, hope we get put in the same group at some point and I can scope it out. Or maybe I should just walk up to her and say she looks exactly like my really hot sister. Ask yourself, What would a not weird person do?
You're the one.
That's right.
You said that.
Keep up the good work. Now, it's not a bad idea to have a few go-to openers if you're in the same environment all the time. I think pickup lines are pretty dumb because they're really just jokes. But if I'm in the gym, one of my go-tos is, damn, nice glutes, looking thick. Mind giving me a spot? Then when they say okay, I just say, thanks, man, and take it from there. One of the keys to making a good first impression is if the other person thinks you're both similar. So saying something you think the other person will relate to is a great idea. If I'm in the bar on Slam Poetry Night for half-price beer, there's a lot of lingering anxiety and existential dread in the room that can only be expressed through metaphor and loose rhyme. So what I like to do to show I'm on the same page is sit next to someone and say, "Hi, I'm James. What's your name?" "Oh, nice to meet you, Hope." Oh man, this still sure is flimsy. All we need now is a rope. On the same note, when I was taking engineering at university and I just wanted to make friends, my go-to icebreaker was sitting next to someone and saying, "Hey man, have you ever touched a woman's hand?" Then they usually laugh nervously and I say, "Don't worry, me neither," and give them a high five. Then I say I think it would feel like that, but a bit softer.
No. Yeah.
Sad times. At this point, I wanted to mention that if you're a girl, every guy on earth would appreciate if you approached us first once in a while. Even if we aren't interested, is really flattering because it almost never happens. In fact, in my entire life, I've been asked out by as many gay guys as I have girls, which is 0. So what I'm saying is if I could get on the scoreboard in any way, that would be nice. Now, if you're going to approach someone, you might be thinking, what if I get rejected? That would really hurt my ego and lower my self-esteem. Well, is that really as bad as living with the regret of not doing anything and wondering what could have been? If you're as fragile as me, it definitely is, which is why I have a permanent arsenal of coping mechanisms on standby, and I avoid difficult situations. But with that said, you can't expect someone or something to just fall into your lap, so sometimes you have to remember that rejection is just part of life, and you might have to be a little bit courageous.
So, yeah, you have to be courageous. That's true. All I am is here.
Redeem Google Play points and score limited edition merch. Go reward yourself. Go play.
I didn't know these 10 commandments. Let me hear them. At first. Oh shit, I almost clicked the wrong link. Wrong page, wrong channel. Wrong video, I mean. I'll watch it right now, but I have to make sure I click on this one. Alright, here we go.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jimmy Talk. So I wanted to go back to the older style of videos that I used to make, so we're just going to get into this. It's going to be real paced. And the way that work is done these days with Gen Z, we all know it's totally broken. It's bullshit. The boomers, maybe even a little bit of Gen X, the way they had it, like working hard, staying loyal. You know, the company's going to take care of you. They might give you a pension. You'll have job security, inside promotions. All that's dead. That just doesn't exist anymore. And now you're just a number. Companies will squeeze as much work out of you as they can while paying you as little as possible. Then they'll lay you off the moment it saves them money. They don't care about you. So here is 10 tips, but I'm actually going to start off with 3 bonus tips. You have to look out for yourself. So these 3 bonus tips are this. Number 1, get paid as much as you can. I've probably had like 30 jobs. It doesn't matter if you are going up a quarter, 50 cents, $1, $2, $3, just take it. Get as much money as you can because company loyalty kind of sucks. Now, I know that there's outliers to this, but that is number 1. Get paid as much as you can. Number 2, learn valuable skills while you're there. Whatever that may be in your industry, figure out what those skills are. Maybe it's a paid certification. Maybe it's learning underneath a journeyman who knows a lot of shit. Learn some freaking skills. Learn how to public speak, right? Number 3, leave on your own terms before they dump you. This is going to kind of go into one of my later tips, but like if your boss is just treating you like shit or you get put on a PIP, something like that, just get out while you can. So I don't think these tips or this video isn't even about being negative. It's just facing reality because loyalty to companies is just a one-way street that ends with you getting screwed. You have to protect yourself. That's the new rule. And since we're going fast-paced, I'll give you a 4th bonus tip. Always be looking for a new job. It doesn't matter if you have one. If you don't have one, then obviously always be looking for one. But if you have a job, always be looking for a better one. All right. Now let's move on. We'll get to my 10 established tips. Now, first and foremost tip, cover your ass. CYA. This isn't paranoid. This isn't like some schizophrenic delusions. It's just prudent behavior. You need to operate with the understanding that if something goes wrong, whatever that may be, you will be thrown under the bus by the company to save someone higher up. And that usually is management or HR, legal shit, whatever field you're in. CYA, cover your ass. So you can take anything away from this video, it's CYA. Your word against someone else's means nothing without proof. So get everything in writing. Email. If you're on a phone call, that's fine. Just text your boss after and say, hey, just to confirm this or that. Like, if they give you some sketchy verbal instructions, follow up with a text or an email. Let's put it like this. Hypothetical, okay? Air quote. Just to confirm our conversation, you'd like me to proceed with X. Okay. Take screenshots of stuff, especially if it's like a company email. Again, guys, this may seem paranoid, but like having records of this stuff, most of the time you're probably not going to need it. But when you do need it and you don't have it, then, you're fucked. CYA. You just need to keep a log of everything. Not even the negative stuff, your accomplishments, or maybe you got something done, like a project. I've never worked in offices, so I don't know office lingo, but a project, I guess. And also positive feedback. And this stuff isn't for bragging. It's just keep it underneath your belt. Keep it in your tool belt, right? So maybe it's for like a raise, something like that. Wrongful termination at most. So this should be your shield. All right. Now, next, you should know social dynamics. Who does what? What's the politics? Whatever. Who's the leader? Who's kind of been there a while? Who's the new guy? Every workplace is. You should know social dynamics. Who does what? What's the politics? Whatever. Who's the leader? Who's kind of been there a while? Who's the new guy? Every workplace is kind of like a jungle. And by that, I mean it's a little bit confusing to navigate. There could be a snake in the grass that's going to bite you, and it has a lot of venom, but you don't even know because you can't see him. I'm sure you're all thinking of somebody right now. Like clicks, some little hidden alliances. Then there's people with actual influence. And there's just a whole lot of secret rules that no one writes down. So when you start a new job, just be quiet and listen, right? Figure out who is actually close to the boss and who's cool with who, what's considered normal. And you may be listening to this and you're like, dude, this sounds fucking gay and retarded. Like, what the hell? Can I just come to work, clock in, do my job, and leave? And yes, I wish we could. I've been that guy. And I've gotten some, shade from people because, I don't get involved in shit. And it's so stupid, right?
What I call them? Fun coupons. See that? A fun coupon. Luke John B.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation.
Right. Here's the thing. Don't get involved in gossip or any of that shit, picking sides in someone else's argument. Just stay friendly and professional with everyone, but just keep your mouth shut. Keep your opinions to yourself. You're not there to make friends. You're there for a paycheck. And some people don't see it that way, and it's really weird. I know. I get it. I think all of this is stupid, but I'm making a video on this shit because it's important, okay? All right. Tip number 3. You must internalize this. HR is not your friend.
That's true.
Do not mistake their friendly behavior with you for friendship or something like that. HR does not exist to help you. It exists to protect the company from you. They are just corporate lawyers in a friendlier disguise, right? We'll put it that way.
All right.
Going to HR with a problem is like going to the cops. Anything you say can and will be used against you to mitigate legal risk for the company. They are not a therapist and they're confidential. They're not a father. You're not giving confession right now. They are a risk management department. If you need to bitch about something, go to your friends or your family or whatever. Don't go to HR just because you want to bitch about someone, right? If you have a serious issue, though, like harassment, you go to HR for stuff like that. But one must Now, number 4, you should be focusing on skills and not company loyalty. Your loyalty should be to yourself and your resume and your bank account, and that's it.
It's true, but
No one works 40 years at a job anymore like the boomers. Like, oh, just go apply in person and work there forever. It doesn't work like that anymore. It would be nice if it did. Honestly, if companies were actually nice to people, that'd be fucking awesome. But that's just not the reality. Use the company. Use them for their training budgets. Use them for their software license if you work in a computer job. Use them for networking. Use them for their name on your resume. Learn everything you can. You need to get so good at stuff that you have options for another job. That tip is later on. Your goal is to make yourself valuable to the marketplace, not just to your current boss. The biggest raise you'll ever get is the one you get by switching companies.
what did it say?
Later on.
Who quoted it?
Your goal is to be valuable to the marketplace, not just to your current boss. The biggest raise you'll ever...
That's true. Come on, stop doing that.
Just to your current boss. The biggest raise you'll ever get is the one you get by switching companies.
True.
That tip is later on.
If it's a good
Your
company.
goal is to make yourself valuable to the marketplace, not just to your current boss. The biggest raise you'll ever get is the one you get by switching companies. Working somewhere is just a phase in your life. It's not a lifetime sentence. All right. Now, 5th. Now, this is definitely going to sound cringe. Go ahead and make fun of me if you want. But it's actually like genuinely a valid tip. It's like, hey, I'm putting my hand on your shoulder right now and I tell you this.
Okay.
You should try to make your manager look good. Of course, there's always outliers to this. I'm not saying if some guy's a piece of shit, try to make him look good. But you shouldn't like correct your boss or like try to one up them or like make them feel dumb
That's
or
why
make
I
them feel
feel
threatened or like you're a know-it-all for anything, not even just work-related stuff. Most managers are like secretly worried someone smarter is going to take their job. Don't be that threat. And the reason for this is a couple different things. They will approve your time off, maybe more likely. They'll leave you alone a little bit more. They won't be up your ass. They might give you a raise or a promotion. And it just could be a solid person in your reference sheet. And hey, maybe you make a friend out of it. You're not there to make friends, but
you do.
they'll leave you alone a little bit more. They won't be up your ass.
Maybe.
They might give you a raise or a promotion. And it just could be a solid person in your reference sheet. And hey, maybe you make a friend out of it. You're not there to make friends, but maybe you go to a different job and you just keep that in your back pocket, right? This is about not being an argumentative dick know-it-all at work. This is kind of what that is. Make your boss look good. Now, tip number 6, this is the ultimate power. You must always have what I call a fuck you fund. This is not an emergency fund. It's just an empowerment fund. Make your boss look good. Now, tip number 6, this is the ultimate power. You must always
have a FU fund so that you can leave jobs and not outside them. So rather than a new job first, what do you want now?
always have what I call a fuck you fund. This is not an emergency fund. It's just an empowerment fund. Live below your means and aggressively save enough money to cover at least 6 months of all your expenses. I've said that in other videos. Maybe you can do 2 to 3. Depends on your situation, like if you live at home or if you're living by yourself, you may have to adjust things. This money isn't for buying a new console or a new GPU or something like some fun money or a new gun or something. This is the money that lets you look your boss. You may have to adjust things. This money isn't for buying months of all your expenses. I've said that in other videos. Maybe you can do 2 to 3. Depends on your situation. Like if you live at home or if you're living by yourself, you may have to adjust things. This money isn't for buying a new console or a new GPU or something like some fun money or a new gun or something. This is the money that lets you look your boss in the eye and be like, piss off. No, I'm not doing that. And you can just walk away from a toxic job that's been pissing you off. Now, tip number 7, your network is your net worth.
6 months of expenses or 6 months of?
Months of all your expenses. I've said that in other videos.
Oh my gosh. It's like
piss off.
$10,000.
No, I'm not doing that. And you can just walk away from a toxic job that's been pissing you off. Now, tip number 7, your network is your net worth, but it has to be built outwards. Don't just have drinks or hangout times with your coworkers. If you do that, cool. I've never been really one to do stuff like that. But a lot of them are in the same ship as you. This is going to sound kind of like mean and selfish, but You know,
Yeah.
whatever. Fuck it. They're in the same ship as you. Would you rather be hanging out with the guy that you work with that just smokes weed and does nothing really? Or would you rather be, I don't know, add someone on LinkedIn that's
Intelligent.
kind of adjacent to your career? Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with LinkedIn. I if you can't tell by now, I really hate all the corporate shit. I'm not a fan. I refuse to play the game. But if you're on LinkedIn, go add someone on there. You should build a genuine relationship with people that are bigger than you, I guess you could say, out of your spectrum, your realm. They're higher up the food chain. You know, you can probably get a job from some of these people eventually. So basically, in other words, you should always be open to expanding your network, right? That's really all this is. Now, tip number 8, set your boundaries from the very first day. If you work in like, that's really all this is. Now, tip number 8, set your boundaries from the very first day. If you work in...
Oh, what? Boundaries without punished from day one. You know what? They will take advantage of it. Not me be rude. It is what it is. What do you want? People to be nice to everything?
like an office or something and you answer emails really early, you just set the expectation that, like, let's just say you get there at 8:30, but clock in time's not till 9. If you get there at 8:30, they're going to be expecting you to start work at 8:30. And it's like, yeah, that's not really reasonable. I clock in at 9. I don't have to do this. But they're going to start doing that. Employers just use and abuse you. If you skip a lunch or something to finish whatever you're doing, they're going to be expecting you to do that again. You just need to be firm from the start. My working hours are this. I'll get to that when I get first thing in the morning. You need to train people how to treat you. Remember I said this at the beginning of the video. This is really about protecting yourself because these employers are fucking shady, all right? Oh yeah, speaking of all the cussing I've been doing in this video, I'm just in the mood. You know, you get me start talking about the workplaces and man, I'm just going to start going off. But usually I'm much more educational in my videos. Just talking about the workplace just gets me worked up. Now, next, I've never dealt with this personally, but I know not everybody has worked in the jobs that I have. So this is more office stuff. I've actually never went through one personally, but I've read a lot about these. And you need to know what a PIP is, or a performance improvement plan.
Oh.
And this is, from my understanding, it's not really like an improvement plan. It's just like a one personally, but I've read a lot about these. And you need to know what a PIP is, or a performance improvement plan. And this is, from my understanding, it's not really like an improvement plan. It's just like a heads up, like, hey, we're going to look for any reason to fire you soon.
Yeah.
It's just a way for HR to legally, and it's like the first approved step to firing you. They're just building a paper trail to also deny you unemployment benefits.
Really?
The moment you're put on a PIP, you just be looking for a way out or an exit strategy, new job, whatever. Just do your job. Every spare second should be updating your resume, applying to here, references set up and all that. It's really just the writing on the wall. Don't waste your energy on trying to beat a PIP because it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So,
They don't like
10th
that.
and finally, diversify your income. Do not rely on a single paycheck from a single corporation. Unfortunately, this is just how it is nowadays. But this is just like putting all your eggs in one basket. That's just never really good advice in the first place. You should get a side hustle, even if it's something like DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, whatever. You should try that. If you don't want to do that, then find something else. But this serves two purposes. This gives you some source of income if your job disappears, and it actually changes your psychology a little bit.
Who's this guy?
When you know the company isn't your only source of survival, you just stop being afraid of your boss. You might work with confidence and not like you're scared.
True.
If you don't want to do that, then find something else. But this serves two purposes. This gives you some source of income if your job disappears, and it actually changes your psychology a little bit. When you know the company isn't your only source of survival, you just stop being afraid of your boss. You might work with confidence and not like you're scared or like you have fear. And you're not as dependent on them. You're kind of like a free agent. And really, that's the only position of power in this workplace now. So just wanted to make a video about this. I was going back and looking at all my videos. I'm like, oh, I used to make like some more self-help stuff. This is something that's very important. You can look at politics all day long. You can listen to me. You can listen to someone else. You can form your own opinions, whatever. That's cool. But if you don't have a paycheck to feed yourself, then none of that shit matters. Work is very important, and you need to learn how to protect yourself. All right, guys, that's all for me today. Follow me on Rumble in case YouTube nukes me eventually. Follow me on X. Patreon, $5 a month to support the channel. If you want to do that, I'd really appreciate it. You are a patriot if you do so. All right, guys, that's all for me today. God bless you and your families. I mean that when I say that. America first and only. Jimmy Talks out.
Go. 1, 0, 0.
I'm gonna subscribe to this guy's channel. He's very intelligent. You could tell. He's like, quite the character. I'm gonna pause for now.